What's happening, guys? James Blon here with MMOHuts.com. This time I'm taking a look at the newly transitioned free-to-play version of Wildstar from Carbine Studios and NCSoft. Now, a lot of you guys probably already know that it wasn't exactly the smoothest launch in gaming history. There have been problems after problems, and unfortunately, they were not at all prepared for not only the problems, but the larger than expected spike in population on the servers. Luckily, they've added more servers since then, and that's absolutely helped the queue problem. And honestly, I've got to hand it to the operation teams for literally working around the clock to fix all of the issues that have come up in a relatively quick manner. But anyway, unlike Guild Wars 2, Wildstar's transition over to free-to-play was a needed decision from a financial standpoint, and besides that, the game has made some prominent changes to adopt to the free-to-play model. So in this video, I kind of wanted to share with you guys a big part of the changes that were made, how the business model is now set up, and take a look at the limitations for free players, of course, as well as give you an idea of what Wildstar offers new players that are looking for a brand new game to play. Okay, so first off, what do they mean by free-to-play? What are the free players not getting? Well, after looking through the details and playing the game for a bit, the restrictions for free players are really not that bad. Every bit of the game's content is available to free players, whether it be dungeons, raids, PvP battlegrounds, or housing. Thankfully, there isn't any restriction on race, class, or path in this case, because that's something very prominent in this game. The only restrictions you see right off the bat are a few of the services, like the auction house, limitations on that, and social functions. Very similar to the free-to-play accounts for Guild Wars 2 now. And I'll go ahead and jump ahead a little bit here and say that some of these really basic restrictions can also be unlocked through a new point system they put in place in the cash shop as well, but I'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. So besides having a free account in Wildstar, they still have the subscription model in place, which is called a signature account, and it'll cost you about $15 for 30 days of playtime. Obviously a little less expensive if you buy more time all at once. And this is designed to offer bonuses on top of the base free-to-play accounts. Things like the ability to earn 25% extra XP, 25% extra in-game currency, and your resurrection or wake here cooldown is reduced by half, as an example. They've actually got a really easy to compare list of the differences between the free and signature accounts on their website as well, so definitely want to reference that just to get a better idea. So most of the differences are in the rates you earn resources in the game, and honestly, the feeling I got after playing and leveling for a little while, and playing Wildstar before in its subscription model, it seems like they've made some systems stay the same and some systems slow down for free players. And what I mean is, and it's not that big of a deal, like it seems like you earn XP slower now with a free account than you did with a regular account before, which you would obtain 25% quicker if, of course, you had the signature account that has now come out. But it seems like you earn in-game currency the same rate as you did before, except obviously if you have a signature account now, you'd be getting a 25% bonus on top of that. So they've shuffled some of these systems around a little bit behind the scenes, but it's not really affecting gameplay in a negative way. It's just something that you might pick up on if you were playing the game before the transition. And if that's the case, if you were continuous subscribers from Wildstar's launch until the transition to free-to-play, you got a couple of exclusive rewards, like a really cool mount, a DJ Caretaker house decor item, a Disco Snoglug pet, that's kind of weird, and a couple of other things, like 2 special titles and 4 months worth of signature service, which is definitely nice. Now, besides the subscription option, which gets you bonuses, like I mentioned, there's a new system within the cash shop called the Cosmic Reward System that also lets you benefit from spending money in the game, whether or not you have a subscription. So if you're a free player and you decide to buy a new mount or costume, then of course you get cosmic points. The 2 currencies in Wildstar are Omnibits, which is the free in-game currency you earn just by playing the game, and Incoin, which is the actual cash currency. So to clarify, the Cosmic Reward System works only with Incoin as well as the subscription membership, but isn't limited to benefiting those with the subscription membership. So like I said, you spend any type of real cash currency in the cash shop, which is the Incoin, signature membership or not, you gain these cosmic points. And after gaining a certain number of points, you start to unlock unique items. The first one here is a head costume. Then at 1600, you gain full social access, which, like I mentioned, was restricted for free account players. So there's one of those things that you get to unlock, even if you don't decide to go with the subscription. The next reward is a cooldown reduction on the Wake Here feature. So another feature restricted by free accounts that can already be unlocked almost individually by spending cash currency on things you might already want in the cash shop. And by the way, these rewards benefit both free and signature members in different ways. Free members by spending money, and signature members because every time you renew your membership, so once a month essentially, you get more cosmic reward points. So 1 month actually gets you 3,000 cosmic points, which gets you a little ways into the first tier. There are 6 tiers total, and each tier gets you nicer and nicer rewards, some of which stack for signature members. For example, this one here, in Tier 2, grants you Rest XP 50% faster, which is something signature members already get, so this stacks, giving you even faster Rest XP rate. And the same thing goes with other rate-based systems having to do with crafting and gathering. Other rewards in this include mounts and pets, and get all the way up to a really specialized house, which, of course, is going to cost you. And as you might expect, buying more in-coin at a time, or several months of signature service at a time, will get you more cosmic points. The nice thing is it's a grandfathered in type of system. So if you buy signature service for 1 month, for example, and don't renew it for a month or two or ever again, you won't ever lose your cosmic points. And keep in mind, this is a totally optional system. It's just a nice additional system in place that can be useful to a variety of players, whether or not you're a signature member or, decide to spend money in a game anyway. And on that note, you might have noticed already, but everything in the cash shop can be purchased with either in-game currency or cash currency. It takes a little while to get enough in-game currency to buy items, but of course, if you encourage that a little bit by racking up some of the cosmic reward points to get the in-game currency collection rate up again, you could probably save yourself a little money later on. The cash shop itself is purely cosmetic though. Even though you see a tab here that says weapons, it's actually just a weapon skin that you can get that binds to your account, but offers 6 different skins to whatever weapons you have. Basically, each of the classes are covered. Most of the other items in the cash shop are convenience items and ways to add either bank slots or character slots. So it's pretty normal stuff, nothing pay to win. There's just boosters and cosmetic items, honestly. Alright, so that's essentially the basics of the difference between what free players have access to and can get opposed to signature members. It's definitely different than what we're used to seeing. Then again, we don't typically see a free-to-play game with a monthly subscription option on top of that anymore. Well, you could count Arcade, but you can kind of see how good that's going for you. I feel that NCSoft in this case has done it correctly, and this is also similar to the setup for the Western version of Blade and Soul. Little teaser here, except it should be even better. You're supposed to be able to get that game's version of cosmic points, which I think they call loyalty points, by spending either in-coin or in-game currency. Anyway, moving on, other changes in the game. The first noticeable change is in the character creation menu. Here, they've revamped the way it's set up, making it a lot easier to understand your choices when creating characters. This is what it looked like before. You've got all of your information based on your choices right here on the right. You select your faction, your race, class, and path from here, but now you've got this showdown looking situation with the Dominion on the right and the Exiles on the left, each one indicating what classes are available according to the race, and if you click on any of them, it'll bring up the characteristics associated with that race, and again the available classes, as well as indicating the faction and its characteristics. For the new players out there, the races are not gender specific, except for the Chua on the Dominion side, but they are faction specific. And again, the races are limited to specific classes, which really isn't much of an issue with as much variety as the game has to offer in the first place. The reason they do this has to do with the variety of starting locations and quest options for the various races and faction types. Just a little bit of information about the paths for some of the new players. Choosing a path is like being able to pre-select what type of encounters and adventures you want to have in the game as they become available while you're exploring the world. So, for example, if I choose the Explorer path, I would have optional side quests based on scaling, say, giant trees, and if I chose the Soldier path, I'd get side quests to kill a lot of stuff. So this feature lets you sculpt your MMO playstyle a little bit more to your liking, cutting out some of the stuff that you might not be interested in. And with the new character creation menu, you get to see the concepts behind each one, which helps a lot in the decision process. And honestly, paths are one of the best feature Wildstar offers in my opinion, and I kind of wish the new MMOs would adopt this style and expand upon it a little bit more. I do go into the paths a little bit more in my original first look on Wildstar, so check that out if you want to learn more about how that plays out. One thing they did change since my first look is more physique options for your character. You still have the detailed customization that you did have in the past, which is great, but now you have about 7 different body types that you can choose from. So a lot more than you used to, which was none. And that's one thing I mentioned in my first look, that there was so many detailed sliders that Pretty much gave you control over changing the diameter of each nostril, basically, but nothing that would make you either taller or wider if you wanted it. See, if you look here, no matter how much I randomize, there are two things that always stay the same: the facial expressions and the physique. Now you have a couple of options for physique. It's not much, and you don't have detailed control over it, but it's a start. Beyond that, they've also simplified the tutorial, giving you an option to choose how you want to start the game, whether you're new to MMORPGs and I guess need to figure out how to move, WASD. No MMOs, but are new to Wildstar. This teaches you the combat and specific features of this game particularly. Or if you've already played Wildstar, allowing you to skip the tutorial entirely. Now, two things I really like about Wildstar right off the bat is how easy the questing is to deal with, whether it's finding out what you need to do for a quest or just plain turning it in, which is really easy. Sometimes you can do that just wherever you are, or even the variety of quests the game offers. You go from the typical kill 10 rat stuff to turning off bug zappers in the right order, hijacking a hover disk, playing Simon Says to download critical information, to plenty of other wild and crazy stuff you can think of. These are just naming a couple in this one area. The questing and in-game comedy almost reminds me of stuff that you'd find in Borderlands. I mean,
oh snap! That was f***ing awesome!
That never gets old.
Alright, you're getting downright legendary.
That actually makes you excited for leveling. And I've got to say, there is so much questing to do and to pick up at once that the only drawback is that it can get a little out of hand. You've got your path-based quests, tasks, story missions, local area quests, and with the direction the game takes you, a lot of times you end up on a tangent doing quests, leveling up, and then you have to go back and do other quests you haven't done yet, which are now at a lower level. I guess it sort of just takes some planning, but it's a little bit different than you're used to. And the other part is the combat and telegraph system. So it isn't exactly true action combat like a lot of players are looking for, but the skills give you a nice variety when it comes to how to use them, and the telegraphs that enemies place out keep you on your feet constantly, always having to move around. It's pretty much impossible just to sit there and spam skill keys unless you just like tanking incoming attacks. You've got to move around. I mean, there's just no way around that. Not to mention they've added changes to the stats system, simplifying the stats on the gear, so it makes it a little easier to follow along with. Along with that, they've also added quite a lot of quality of life improvements, making things easier in general. They've also added login rewards, which is always nice. And for those of you new to Wildstar, some of the late game stuff to look forward to would be like raid-style world bosses, of course, player housing. That gets really advanced with customization and personal features. Beyond that, you've got some really sweet option for PvP, whether it's open world, 1v1 duels, arenas, battlegrounds, or even war plots, which are the 30 versus 30 wars between two death fortresses. So overall, the game offers a lot for new players, quite a bit in general, I would say. I can say that the game was originally, and I want to say this in the most neutral way, over-marketed, and some of the features were just a little bit too hyped. So they were slightly underwhelming once players got there originally. Mainly because the game was a subscription-based game, and expectations were a lot higher based on the hype. But that's just my opinion. Now that the game is free to play and players have access to all of that content for free, those expectations shift just a little bit, but in a good way. Give the game some time to recover from its rocky free-to-play launch and get warm and cozy with its new free-to-play home, and not only will it become one of the best free-to-play MMORPGs available, it should have future games trying to adopt some of its features to help spark a new era of MMOs. Well, at least we can dream, right? Thanks for watching, guys. Feel free to check out my original first look on Wildstar, as well as the game profile at MMOHuts.com for more general information on Wildstar. And until next time, guys, that's going to be it for me. I'm James Blonde. See you out there, gamers.